What's up, welcome back to Nowstalgia. Dave here with my 2027 Oscar predictions, specifically my early predictions. We're doing these right after the Oscars have just taken place, and now we're looking ahead a full year to think what movies could be in the mix a year from now, which movies are the next upcoming awards players. Of course, this is challenging because we know very few of the awards type movies that are coming out this year. Most of them are not yet dated. Some of them will slip to the following cycle. So we'll do our best here. Some of these movies we're going to talk about are dated, and the rest I have pretty good confidence in that they will be releasing this year, given where they've been at with their production. And just right off the bat, some movies that are definitely not in the mix this year. This is largely because they either haven't started filming or are still filming. The new Martin Scorsese movie, Heat 2, the Miami Vice remake, the Michael B. Jordan Thomas Crown Affair remake, The Legend of Zelda Nintendo movie. Those are not coming. Also, Jordan Peele's Untitled movie previously was dated for fall 2026. That movie has still not yet shot, so that movie is also not in the mix here. I'll also note Terrence Malick's The Way of the Wind, his Jesus Christ movie, which was filmed, before COVID, but has been in edit ever since. I mean, I think I've talked about this every single year, but it'll come out at some point, we assume. But Malick's Malicking right now, so best not to read too much more into it. We'll find out something when we find out something with that one. But yeah, in terms of movies that I am expecting, I think there's some obvious players, right? Dune Part 3, following the first two Dune movies. I think it's pretty close to a shoo-in for Best Picture nomination and a ton of other down-ballot awards. Can this movie perform like The Lord of the Rings Return of the King, the trilogy capper, getting all the plaudits and actually winning, the big Oscar? Given what we know about how the Dune story goes and that the Dune Messiah story is not nearly as conventional as first Dune novel, it's probably not wise to expect Dune to win Best Picture, but I would certainly welcome it given the great achievement that Denis Villeneuve and co have accomplished with that. Will Timothée Chalamet be back in the Best Actor race for the third year in a row with Dune? Less confident about that, but again, we'll see. Also very confident in Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, of course. Christopher Nolan's last movie, Oppenheimer, one of the most dominant Best Picture and Best Director wins at the Oscars in recent years. I expect The Odyssey to be a massive hit and definitely be in the Oscar mix. Whether this has quite the same groundswell as Oppenheimer, I think it's unlikely to expect that to happen again, but I still expect this movie to be right there. The Adventures of Cliff Booth, David Fincher, Netflix, script by Quentin Tarantino, of course, a spin-off, a follow-up prequel, to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Brad Pitt's character of Cliff Booth in that movie, a character that he won Best Supporting Actor for at the Oscars in 2020. David Fincher has never won an Oscar, so if this would be the one that finally gets him across the line, I think we'd all welcome that. I think it's in the mix at the very least. Got that Super Bowl trailer already. We know it's coming out this year. I wouldn't necessarily predict it to win Best Picture, just given the history of Tarantino and especially Fincher, the Oscars thus far. Also of note is Narnia from Netflix and Greta Gerwig, just because it's from Greta Gerwig, right? Lady Bird, Little Women, Barbie, Oscar darling, right? Will Narnia, and specifically adaptation of the very first Narnia novel, The Magician's Nephew, will that get it done? Remains to be seen, right? We'll see how good this movie is. But I have a lot of faith in Greta. Steven Spielberg, Disclosure Day, coming out in June. More of a summer blockbuster, right? So I'm not necessarily expecting it to necessarily be in the big mix, maybe some down ballot categories like sound and visual effects. But Spielberg, when he's been on, he's been tremendous of late, right? Fableman's West Side Story. So he's still got it. That much is clear, but I don't know if this is exactly that type of movie. We definitely have to mention Digger from Alejandro Inarritu, starring Tom Cruise. This is dated for the fall, and this is Tom Cruise's first time in, since when? It's been so long since he did something other than Mission Impossible or Top Gun, right? Exciting. Do I expect this to necessarily become an Oscar movie in the end? Hard to say. The teaser didn't give a whole lot away, but we'll see how the movie's received. I think this is going to go one of two ways, either really warmly received or really poorly received. But I'm just excited that Cruise is doing something else. Aaron Sorkin is coming to us with The Social Reckoning. This is his follow-up / sequel to, of course, The Social Network that he wrote, directed by David Fincher, which is, by my account, the best movie of the 2010s. This, of course, returns us to the Facebook storytelling, and I think it's a great idea for a movie just because so much has happened with the life of Mark Zuckerberg, evolution of Facebook and Meta. But new cast, right? This is not Jesse Eisenberg and Andrew Garfield again. Instead, we have Zuckerberg now played by Jeremy Strong, which I think is pretty exciting. I think Strong will be in the awards mix with that. It's also the first high-profile role for Mikey Madison since she won Best Actress for Minora 2 years ago. And Jeremy Allen White, also in the movie. Wumi Masaku from Sinners, also in the movie. Looking forward to this. Sorkin, been a bit up and down as a director himself, not just a writer, but when he's also directing. So we're crossing our fingers. We're hoping that comes through, but still very much looking forward to it. And I think it has great potential to be an awards movie. Some other, of course, big name directors. Robert Eggers is coming to us with a new movie, Werewolf, his first film since Nosferatu. He's actually re-teaming up with Lily Rose Depp for this movie alongside Aaron Taylor Johnson. It's got the same, late December release like Nosferatu, same slot. Probably best not to predict it, but it's an Eggers movie, so it's still exciting. Ryusuke Hamaguchi, 2 movies ago, Drive My Car, right? Japanese submission to the Oscars, gets nominated for Best International Feature Film. Incredible movie. One of my favorite movies in the last, 5+ years. He'll be back. This movie's already picked up by Neon, which is a good sign. It's actually a French language film, not Japanese. But looking forward to this at the very least. We'll see if France submits this for the Oscars. I think it very well submit something else. This has been a controversial thing they've done in the past. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there, but still notable nonetheless. I should note Damien Chazelle's untitled movie. It's a prison movie with Daniel Craig and Cillian Murphy. This might not come out this year. At one point he was circling an Evel Knievel movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. He actually then prioritized this movie. So we'll see if this movie comes together in time for this award cycle. If not, maybe it's next year. But I'm a big Chazelle fan. This will be his first movie since Babylon. One of our great, rising, already very accomplished and celebrated directors. But he's still not that old, so he's a really exciting talent. Gotta mention Tony Gilroy with his new movie Behemoth that he also wrote, starring Pedro Pascal. Just recently finished wrapping up. That'll definitely, I think, be in the awards mix this year. Probably open the festivals in time. Just so exciting, right? Tony Gilroy back making a movie following the great success and plaudits he received for Andor on Disney+, which he talked at length about occupying such a long aspect of his life and career, right? 5 or 6 years or so. So it's just cool to see him do something else just because everyone respects and celebrates his abilities as a screenwriter so much. So really can't wait for that. I want to note Christian Mungiu, who won the Palme d'Or many years ago. His new movie Fjord has gotten a lot of early buzz, starring Sebastian Stan. I think this at minimum will be a festival awards player, so keep an eye out on that one. Saturn Return is the new movie from Greg Cuidar following Sing Sing, which of course got a Best Picture nomination 2 years ago. This film stars Charles Melton and Rachel Brosnahan. I think this is one to really pay attention to. I assume that'll be picked up by somebody big. Here Comes the Flood, a new Fernando Meirelles movie starring Denzel Washington. Of course, Meirelles, he's done some TV lately like Sugar, but he made City of God way back in the day, one of the most celebrated non-English language films of all time. So can't count it out. There's an A24 movie called Prime Time starring Robert Pattinson, my guy. It's based off How to Catch a Predator. Probably not an awards movie, but sounds exciting. There's also Dominic Sessa starring in Tony for Michael Johnson, the Anthony Bourdain biopic movie. Probably something that'll go one of two ways, given the relationship many people have with Anthony Bourdain following his tragic passing. That's also A24. That being said, I have a lot more faith in that potentially being an awards player as opposed to Antoine Fuqua's Michael, which is coming out next month. The Michael Jackson biopic movie is going to be massive worldwide, that's for sure. But Fuqua's track record doesn't suggest that this movie would be an awards player. I don't think this is going to be as received as warmly critically as Bohemian Rhapsody was, back in 2019. Martin McDonagh is back with Wild Horse 9, starring John Malkovich, his first movie since The Banshees of Inisherin, which got, 8-9 nominations 3 years ago? It was blanked, notably, but, 3 billboards. He's been an awards player before, so it would be wise to keep an eye on that one. Josephine, the #1, without a shadow of a doubt, movie out of Sundance this year. Picked up by Sumerian Pictures, a really small new distributor, which is eyebrow raising at the very least. But Josephine, the the critical buzz around this movie, which stars Gemma Chan and Channing Tatum, the buzz has been really strong. It's a very serious, dark, upsetting movie, from what I understand. Haven't seen it yet, but I think this is going to be there. And if it is there, that'd be pretty cool to see a really small new label mount an awards campaign. But I think Josephine's going to definitely be on that radar. Also, no, it has to be I Swear, the British movie starring Robert Aramayo, which made a lot of surprise noise at the BAFTAs recently. It's not releasing in the United States until late April. So very curious at the very least to see how that goes and if it can pick up into this award cycle after technically being in the British award cycle already. Amazon has a new Peter Farrelly movie called I Play Rocky, which is like about the making of the movie Rocky and the Rocky Balboa character and all that. Doesn't sound awardsy to me, especially with Amazon being involved. Pedro Almodovar is back with their Spanish movie Bitter Christmas. He's certainly been up and down at the Oscars. He's no lock to get nominated, but certainly an early name of note in international feature. Similarly, Paweł Pawlikowski from Poland is back with 1949. It's his first movie since 2018's Cold War, which I really loved. Really exciting that Pawlikowski's back in the mix. I can't wait to see that. I think a really strong contender, frankly an obvious name, is Ruben Östlund's The Entertainment System is Down. His last movie won the Palm, Triangle of Sadness, and got Best Picture nominated. It would be wise not to bet against him again. This movie stars Keanu Reeves, Kirsten Dunst, and Daniel Bruhl, among others. I think this is a pretty safe bet to open at Cannes. Joel Coen is back with another solo directorial effort, Jack of Spies. And the Coen brothers' solo efforts have been very up and down, to say the least. But this movie stars Josh O'Connor, which makes it immediately more interesting to me, given the incredible hot streak he's been on the last few years. I don't believe it's titled yet, but Jesse Eisenberg has an A24 movie coming up with Julianne Moore and Halle Bailey. Of course, A Real Pain was in the award season, his last directorial effort, so this one we'll keep our eye on. James Gray has a new movie called Paper Tiger, starring Adam Driver and Miles Teller. James Gray historically has not been an awards player, but he's been a big critics' favorite, so just exciting that he's back with a new movie. There's a Sense and Sensibility remake starring Daisy Edgar Jones. I think that movie is likely to perform well at the box office, whether it's a critical darling as well as a remake. Perhaps unlikely, but we'll see. Worth mentioning Whitney Springs. That's the Trey Parker and Matt Stone movie with Kendrick Lamar, of course, the creators of South Park, and Kendrick. Kendrick's a massive awards favorite on the music side of things. This movie was previously dated for, I believe, July of last year, July 4th of 2025, and then came off the calendar. So whether this movie comes out this year or even comes out at all, I suppose, still remains to be seen, but it'll be notable if this ever gets dated. Of course, for the technical side of awards, especially Project Hail Mary, which is already released from Amazon, and Lord & Miller, I think definitely a worthy movie for things like production design and visual effects and sound design, best sound, things like that. Like the movie quite a bit. It's looking to be a really strong year for animation. We've already had Hoppers from Pixar, which I think was a solid return to form for the studio. You have Toy Story 5, which will be a massive box office hit for the studio. We have Hex, which is an original Disney animated film. You have the Super Mario Galaxy movie, Mario 2, from Illumination. We have Ray Gun from Netflix, directed by Brad Bird, a new Brad Bird animated movie, notable. We also have Wildwood from Travis Knight, a new Laika animated movie. You have Minions and Monsters, a new Despicable Me Minions franchise movie from Illumination. There's a DreamWorks movie with some early attention called The Forgotten Island. And on top of that, we also have Coyote vs. Acme, which eventually got acquired by, I believe, Ketchup Entertainment after nearly being completely shelved by Warner Bros. Discovery. That movie will see the light of day at some point this year. I believe it's already dated, actually, in the summer. So, yeah, I think it's a pretty compelling animation mix. Godzilla Minus Zero from Toho was already dated for the fall. Of course, Godzilla Minus One was a really awesome Best Visual Effects win 2 years ago, and now we have another film quite quickly from the Japanese side of Godzilla filmmaking, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. Would be wise not to count it out of Best Visual Effects again. Andrew Garfield is playing Sam Altman in a new Luca Guadagnino movie called Artificial. Now, Garfield was just in a Luca movie, After the Hunt, this past fall, which did not go well. But I feel like a movie like this, feels akin to this feels very akin to Amanda Seyfried playing Elizabeth Holmes on The Dropout, the Hulu miniseries. Of course, Garfield playing Eduardo Saverin in The Social Network, no stranger to something like this. But I don't know. This feels like, one of the Luca movies that works, right? He's definitely one up, one down. He seems like every release he puts out. Shout out Challengers. But I'm looking forward to this as someone who's not a fan of Sam Altman. But Garfield, we're going to get to a point where like it's the Garfield year and he wins Best Actor. I think everyone feels that way about him as a performer. Maybe it's this movie. Hirokazu Koreeda has a new movie, Sheep in the Box. Been a big fan of his. His last movie, Monsters, a few years ago. The movie before that, Shoplifters, was a massive critical hit. So always worth keeping an eye on Koreeda. This movie is already with Neon. Paul Greengrass has another movie, The Uprising. He hasn't been a traditional Oscar player, although The Lost Bus last year did get a visual effects nomination. And of course, on the blockbuster front, Spider-Man Brand New Day, Avengers Doomsday, in the general visual effects, mix, although Marvel still famously has never won that award. But yeah, that's 30, 40 movies or whatever I just mentioned. Some of those will not come out this year, and there's also a lot of other players, perhaps even the eventual Best Picture winner. It's not yet dated yet. It's not on the radar yet. It just hasn't premiered. No one's seen it. No one has a lot of knowledge of it. So this is a fool's errand in many respects to try and predict things this early, but I'm pretty confident I named some movies that will definitely be Oscar players. So let me know, which of these movies are you most excited to see? What do you think is most likely to be an Oscar movie a year from now? Let me know. And of course, come back much closer to the Oscars. We'll be predicting the nominations, then reacting to the nominations, and then giving, of course, our formal predictions. And throughout the year, we'll be reviewing damn near every movie I mentioned as they eventually do come out. So if you want to stick around and enjoy the ride of the new year in movies, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.